Hollywood's golden age may be known for its glitz and glamour and for having the most iconic set of stars. But today, we're ranking some of these stars by something a bit different. Here's 10 of the biggest busts in old Hollywood, ranked by size.
I've destroyed your chance to get to America. Brought you nothing but unhappiness. Oh, people like us shouldn't have emotions. I don't know what we've done, but somehow we're robbed.
Number 10. Hedy Lamar. Bust size, 35.5. No matter what list Hedy Lamar finds herself in, one thing she's doing for sure is stand out. Would you blame her though? As the quintessential brains and beauty, she turned heads everywhere she went with her gorgeous looks and acting skills. Plus, it's worth noting that her smarts went way beyond the silver screen. Alas, before she became the star we all know and admired, Hedy Lamar endured a tough upbringing. Her father was highly controlling and often had a strained relationship with her mother. Yet, despite these challenges, Lamar refused to let anything stand in her way, eventually rising to become one of the most iconic women in old Hollywood. Before her Hollywood career, Hedy Lamar gained notoriety in 1933 for her bold and provocative performance in the Czech art film Ecstasy, where she appeared unclothed. But 4 years later, at 22, she got herself a bumper contract with MGM and was frequently cast in roles that capitalized on her exotic allure, often portraying a foreign temptress. And well, the rest is history. Thanks to her natural charm and attractive looks, Hedy Lamar quickly rose to prominence, starring in a number of hit films like Algiers and Samson and Delilah, solidifying her status as one of the top actresses of her time. Guided by MGM's strategic direction, she became a massive fan favorite, captivating audiences with her elegance and undeniable star power, which allowed her to truly shine in Hollywood and beyond. During the Second World War, she teamed up with avant-garde composer George Antel and invented a system for torpedoing U-boats that was patented but sadly ignored. That said, even though their big idea didn't actually get used in the war, it was extremely important and helped create technologies we use every day now, like Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. In any case, Hedy Lamar's personal life was as dramatic as her film career. After her tumultuous marriage to Friedrich Mandel, Lamar entered into 5 more marriages, each ending in acrimony. Her autobiography, Ecstasy and Me, published in 1966, revealed intimate details about her life, including queer relationships that were frowned upon in the days of old. As the post-war period progressed, Lamar's career sloped. The demand for distinct ethereal beauty waned, giving way to a more wholesome American look. Despite this, she enjoyed a few comebacks, including as Delilah opposite Victor Mature's Samson and Cecil B. DeMille's Samson and Delilah. However, her later years were marred by a series of highly publicized shoplifting charges. By 1968, she had auctioned off most of her prized possessions, including a rare collection of Judaica. Fearing the loss of her once glamorous appearance, Lamar retreated to Florida, where she focused on inventing. Her inventions included a new type of traffic light, enhancements for the Concorde, and a skin-tightening technique inspired by the accordion. Only towards the end of her life, as its commercial potential became evident, did her and Antil's patent begin to gain recognition. Her patent was finally recognized as the pioneer behind much of contemporary electronics. Number 9. Rita Hayworth. Bust size, 36C. With her warmth, gorgeous smile, and lush hair that fell in long, auburn waves, Rita Hayworth quickly became one of Hollywood's most cherished figures. From pubs to big screens to boards, Rita Hayworth's face and posters were everywhere. However, what people don't talk about enough is what she had to do both off-screen and in front of the camera to create that effect. That's right. Objectively speaking, only a few women in Hollywood had a harder, more complex life than Margaret Casino. And no, there wasn't any mix-up in the names. Born to a Spanish father and an Irish-American mother, Rita Hayworth had to go through a proverbial baptism by fire and an exhaustive makeover to become one of the queens of old Hollywood. You see, becoming Rita Hayworth was far from easy. Margarito Casino already had it all: beauty, allure, and the it factor that can captivate her audiences. By the time Rita Hayworth made her film debut, she had already spent years honing her craft as a dancer rather than an actress. She began her dance training at the age of 4, developing into a graceful and precise performer. She oozed confidence in all kinds of dance forms and styles, including complex tap routines, maintained elegance in ballroom dances, and performed Spanish-influenced steps with relative ease, which she initially performed in public. But sadly, the path to success in the film industry demanded more. She was painstakingly carved by the hands of men, hands that belonged to her father, who made her his dance partner as a schoolgirl, her Evangelite first husband, Eddie Judson, who pushed her into the film industry, and Harry Cohen, who controlled her career and image at Columbia Pictures. To conform to Hollywood's stringent beauty standards, Rita Hayworth adhered to restrictive diets and a rigorous exercise routine. She was also persuaded to abandon her birth name and underwent 2 years of painful electrolysis to alter her naturally low, dark hairline. Her ethnicity was basically being altered right before her eyes. And guess what? There was another faux vibe in her persona. Her screen performances projected a bold, no-nonsense confidence that was in stark contrast to her private, shy, and sensitive nature. To buttress this, her close friend, choreographer Hermé Pan, remarked on the striking difference between her public and private selves, noting that her camera presence revealed a completely different personality, an incredible blend that made it hard to believe they were the same person.
You always deal in appearances.
Oh, for God's sake.
George.
Number 8. Elizabeth Taylor. Bust size, 36D. At the peak of her career, Elizabeth Taylor was celebrated not only as Hollywood's most stunning star, but also as the most beautiful woman in the world. Her iconic, timeless beauty played a crucial role in her ability to enchant the biggest stars into relationships, launch a remarkable career, and be adored by millions of fans across the globe. But hey, have you ever wondered what it was about her beauty exactly that made her so special? Look no further than her ethereal beauty. She had a set of unforgettable violet eyes that serenaded gracefully with her cascading mane of dark hair. She was so beautiful that even contemporary scientists and researchers like Nancy Ekberg, a Harvard psychologist and author of Survival of the Prettiest, The Science of Beauty, once opined that she was a miracle. As one of the last, if not the last, major stars to have come out of the old Hollywood system, Elizabeth Rosamond Taylor is undoubtedly special. Born in 1932 to American parents, her mother had been an actress on the stage but gave up that vocation when she married. The family lived in London until Elizabeth was 7. But when the family left for the US when the clouds of war brewed over Europe in 1939, her father was left behind to wrap up the loose ends of his art business. Luckily, he survived. In the United States, a family friend recognized young Elizabeth's exceptional beauty and suggested she be brought in for a screen test, which eventually led to Universal Pictures to offer her a contract. Soon, she caught the attention of MGM, who made no mistake in signing her. In 1944, Taylor played Velvet Brown opposite Mickey Rooney in National Velvet, and the film was a smash hit, grossing over $4 million. Throughout the 1950s, Elizabeth Taylor consistently took on roles that brought her success, beginning with her performance in George Stephenson's A Place in the Sun, where she starred alongside her close friend Montgomery Clift. Her beauty and acting were so intoxicating that no one could get enough of her. But if you think her beauty was the most attractive thing about her, her two-time husband Richard Burton would probably disagree. He famously described Elizabeth Taylor's figure as apocalyptic and capable of toppling empires. Yet, they were complemented by her famously small waist that created a pleasant contrast. Plus, she had a golden heart. After the death of her friend, actor Rock Hudson, in 1985, Taylor began her crusade on behalf of AIDS sufferers. By the time she died in 2011 from congestive heart failure, her legacy was untouchable. Whether in a costume drama like Cleopatra or rom-coms like Father of the Bride, Liz in her prime was part of what's famously described as a grail of beauty from old Hollywood alongside Sophia Loren and Marilyn Monroe. And speaking of the latter, look who we've got next.
You don't want what you get. And
Number 7. Marilyn Monroe. Bust size 37. From the 1950s to the 1960s, interest in the entertainment industry centered around elegance and mystique. It became the primary focus of the media, and most of its gaze was fixed on women who had the most appeal, especially Marilyn Monroe. Arguably the single most popular actress in history, you didn't think we were going to make this list without her, did you? From acting to singing, and even dabbling into the model world, Marilyn Monroe was a jack of all trades who could do no wrong. Marilyn Monroe's allure went beyond her striking appearance. Platinum blonde hair, red lips, and a soothing voice. She possessed a magnetic charisma and a flirtatious vulnerability that made her not only a revered figure, but also someone audiences could relate to. She was a household name in old Hollywood and untouchable altogether. As a matter of fact, some of her early characters didn't even have names. As long as it was Marilyn, audiences were okay. By playing and being the desired dumb blonde, Monroe was able to create a niche for herself where she was the queen. But don't take this to mean she didn't help others like her. By daring to be bohemian, Monroe broke the taboo of mainstream cinema and created a standard, a time where women wouldn't be ridiculed for breaking rules. However, I can't help but feel it played out bad at some point. At the peak of her career, Monroe's provocative nature was consistently typecast into roles that would only satisfy the expectations of the public. A notable example is Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, where Monroe plays a stereotypical dumb blonde character who seeks a wealthy man. Her character's purity is so questionable that she is accompanied by a chaperone and a private detective, the latter being arranged by the father of her love interest. But hey, she was super successful. She received BAFTA nominations in 1956 and 1958 and was also nominated for a Golden Globe for her role in Bus Stop. She was also honored with a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame and ranked as the 6th most influential female superstar of all time, cementing her unmistakable legacy in Hollywood history. Till date, Marilyn Monroe continues to inspire generations after her. On platforms like Instagram and TikTok, young influencers frequently recreate Monroe's iconic looks, infusing them with contemporary fashion. Additionally, Gen Z champions body positivity, celebrating Monroe's fuller figure as a symbol of natural beauty and self-acceptance. One can only wish she lived a happier life. She was deeply plagued by her family's history of mental illness, which began to manifest in her early years through signs of paranoia and delusional thoughts. An example of this was her irrational belief that her neighbors had maliciously harmed her dog, who had actually been accidentally hit by a vehicle. Enter the 1950s, and Marilyn was a train wreck behind the scenes. After the death of her boyfriend, the actress took to sleeping pills to ease her pains and almost overdosed once. Later in the early 60s, her depression had deteriorated to the point where she struggled to perform basic tasks, such as applying makeup while lying down. Not too long after, in 1962, Marilyn was tragically found dead in her apartment. It was labeled as a suspected suicide, a sad end at just 36. But hey, remember when we talked about the Grail of Beauty in old Hollywood? Up next is the third piece in that trio, a woman whose name is synonymous with elegance, allure, and emancipation. Yes, we're talking about Sophia Loren, the living proof that beauty is timeless. Number 6. Sophia Loren. Bust size 38C. What do you call a woman who, in her 80s, was still the symbol of Dolce Vita, style, and glamour? It's easy. Sophia Loren. Renowned as one of the world's most desirable women, she not only made waves in the entertainment industry, but also famously challenged beauty stereotypes in the 1950s. But what if I told you this femme fatale with caramel-colored silky skin, a magnetic gaze, and perfectly pigmented lips was almost forced to undergo the Casino Hayworth transformation? Since her debut in the 1950s, Sophia Loren epitomized Italian beauty and charm, thanks to her striking presence. However, it was a stark comparison to when she began her acting career at just 15. Back then, the prevailing beauty ideals favored blonde hair like Marilyn Monroe's, a petite nose like Brigitte Bardot's, and the fair skin of a Grace Kelly. Mediterranean features like Lauren's, including an olive complexion and a not-so-slender body, stood out as a stark contrast. Her features were frowned upon, and she was told her nose was too long and her lips too wide. To make things worse, she was told to change her appearance into something more stereotypically Hollywood. However, instead of conforming to the standards, she remained confident and true to herself. She not only fiercely refused to change herself for others, but also turned those so-called flaws into her strengths. She believed she was one whose body is too powerful, too natural, and too invulnerable to change. Thankfully so, because the world soon fell in love with her individuality and grace. Throughout her impressive career, Sophia Loren consistently aimed to inspire her fans with the message of embracing their unique beauty. She believed that confidence was the key, famously stating in her autobiography that true beauty comes from believing in oneself. But make no mistake, guys, Sophia Loren's beauty never undermined her talent. She won the Best Actress Academy Award in 1961 for her powerful performance in Two Women, becoming the first woman to earn an Oscar for a role in a non-English language film. Decades later, in 1991, she received an Academy Honorary Award celebrating her contributions to cinema. And just like Elizabeth Taylor, Sophia Loren was quite passionate about activism. In 1992, she became Goodwill Ambassador for the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, using her platform to raise global awareness about the plight of refugees and bring attention to humanitarian crises around the world. Number 5. Esther Williams. Bust size 38. Nicknamed America's Mermaid, who says the fairy tale creature never existed? As a teenager, Esther Williams showed her talent as a member of the Los Angeles Athletic Club swim team, where she won several national swimming competitions in 1939. However, her dreams of competing in the Olympic Games were dashed when the event was canceled due to the outbreak of World War II. Disappointed, she took a job at an upscale department store, but she did not stay on land for long. Producer Billy Rose invited Esther Williams to audition for a swimming and diving show, Aquacade, in San Francisco. There, she impressed enough to land the lead role, performing alongside Johnny Westmuller, the famed Olympic swimmer best known for his portrayal of Tarzan in the popular film series. After the show ended, Williams returned to Los Angeles and eventually landed a contract with MGM Studios. She made her film debut in Andy Hardy's Double Life with Mickey Rooney in 1942, before making an even bigger splash in her first swimming movie, Bathing Beauty, in 1944. Every year from 1945 to 1949, Williams had at least one film among the 20 highest-grossing films of the year. In 1952, Esther Williams took on her sole biographical role portraying Australian swimming champion Annette Kellerman in the film $1 Million Mermaid, thus earning her the nickname during her time at MGM. But, speaking of the studio, many of Esther Williams' MGM films, including $1 Million Mermaid and Jupiter's Darling, featured intricately staged synchronized swimming sequences that came with significant risks. While filming a dramatic 115-foot dive off a tower for $1 Million Mermaid, Williams broke her neck, leading to a 7-month recovery and a body cast. Although she healed, she continued to experience headaches due to the accident. Additionally, her extensive time spent submerged in studio tanks caused multiple ruptured eardrums. And she nearly drowned once when she couldn't find the trapdoor in a darkened tank. Her rescue came only after a crew member noticed that the door wasn't opening. After 15 years of appearing in films, Williams was threatened with contract suspension from MGM after refusing the lead role in a movie. Williams eventually left the studio, losing nearly $3 million in deferred payments, but keeping her $50,000 signing bonus. Beyond acting, Williams excelled as a businesswoman, investing in a range of ventures such as a service station, swimwear manufacturer, and restaurant chain. She also served as a synchronized swimming commentator in the 1984 Los Angeles Olympics. Number 4. Jane Russell, bust size 38D. Up next is Jane Russell, one of Hollywood's leading actresses in the 1940s and 1950s, with a score of movies in her filmography. Known for being exceptionally beautiful and having a grand presence that combined elegance and charisma, it didn't take long for Russell to make a name for herself in the industry. Once she relocated from the Midwest to California, she landed her first film role in Howard Hughes' The Outlaw, a film about Billy the Kid that raised a lot of eyebrows within the industry. Although completed in 1941, the movie faced delays and was only given a limited release in 1943 due to issues with the censorship board over the way her cleavage was depicted in promotional materials. When the movie finally received approval, it was released widely in 1946. During this period, Russell engaged in extensive publicity efforts, which helped her gain national recognition. But here's where things get interesting. In spite of numerous incorrect media reports following the film's release, Russell did not wear the specially designed underwire bra that Howard Hughes had created for her. In her 1985 autobiography, she revealed that the bra was too uncomfortable, so she discreetly discarded it and instead used her own, padding the cups with tissue and adjusting the straps to lift her bosoms. And speaking of which, Russell's figure was praised for giving a perfect silhouette to her height of 5'7". As a matter of fact, her favorite co-star, Bob Hope, once introduced her as a two and only Jane Russell. Get it? Her figure was hailed for being more statuesque than most of the contemporaries in her era. To buttress this, Howard Hughes once famously remarked, "There are 2 good reasons why men go to see her. Those are enough." Reflecting on her own allure, though, she noted that while it could be positive, she never wanted it to cross into bad taste, as that would make it unattractive. She believed that a star should avoid posing in a vulgar manner. She loved it when allure and interest never crossed the line into vulgar territory, highlighting Marilyn Monroe's calendar as an example of artistic expression. It hurts that her career wasn't always flourishing. She soon faced a couple of issues that took her off the big screen before making a return in 1946, when she played Joan Kenwood in Young Widow for Hunt Stromberg, who released it through United Artists. Alas, it was far from a success. The movie went over budget by $600,000 and eventually became a notable box office failure. In 1947, Russell spread her wings into music before returning to acting to star in several notable films during the 1950s, such as Gentlemen Prefer Blondes and The Fuzzy Pink Nightgown. Her personal life was largely colorful. She was married 3 times, adopted 3 children, and in 1955 found WAIF, the first international adoption program. Plus, she was super successful. She received notable accolades for her achievements in film and also got her hand and footprints immortalized in the forecourt of Grauman's Chinese Theater along with Marilyn Monroe. If you've made it this far, chances are you're having lots of fun so far. So why don't you subscribe to the channel and turn on post notifications? That way you won't be missing any of the upcoming videos, and you'll be in the loop for amazing content like this. It's a win-win, and it'll only take you a second.
Haven't you ever met a man that can make you happy?
Sure. Lots of times.
Number 3. Mae West. Bust size 38D. If there's one woman who really knew how to make headlines in old Hollywood, it just has to be Mae West. An actress, singer, and screenwriter, the iconic thespian starred in many films known for their bold approach to acting. In films like She'd Done Him Wrong and I'm No Angel, both in 1933, and My Little Chickadee in 1940. She was also a big influence on leading figures of both fashion and art. In 1937, Elsa Schiaparelli introduced a perfume with a bottle shaped to resemble the actress's figure. A year later, Salvador Dali created the famous Mae West lip sofa, drawing inspiration from the actress's distinctive features. But hey, she wasn't always in the news for the right reasons. 6 years before starring in She'd Done Him Wrong, she did just that in the eyes of the law for obscenity and, in quote, corrupting the morals of youth. She was sentenced to 10 days in prison. Looking back, Mae West was way ahead of her time. Unlike the starlets who tried to maintain a petite build, West embraced her curves and the attention that came with it. For West, sensuality wasn't just a part of her image. It was a show to assert independence and declare women were the only ones who could dictate their desires, make the rules, and thrive on their terms. She defied societal norms by openly celebrating her body and wrote films with provocative dialogue and innuendo that pushed boundaries and challenged censorship. Mae West was committed to maintaining her fitness through light weightlifting and frequent workouts on an exercise bike, a routine she proudly displayed even at age 83 in a Guardian interview. Yet, she was also flexible when a role required a different look. For her play Diamond Lil in 1933, West fattened up with a rich diet of creamed chicken on buttered toast, lobster Newburg, and chocolate cream cake to achieve the desired effect. These and many more are the reasons why even after her heyday in Hollywood, Mae West is still remembered for her legacy and, well, enviable figure. Whether she was cinched in a corset, staying fit with her exercise routine, or simply embracing her natural vitality, Mae West's unmistakable charm was the real key to her iconic status. Before we go into the top 2, here's an unforgettable parting word from West. I like my clothes to be tight enough to show I'm a woman, but loose enough to show I'm a lady. Yeah, her personality was the stuff of legend. Number 2. Anita Ekberg. Bust size 40. Best known for her role in Federico Fellini's 1960 film La Dolce Vita, she is hands down one of the most overlooked thespians of her era, often overshadowed by the immense popularity of Marilyn Monroe and Jane Mansfield. However, contrary to what many believe, Anita never hated the duo nor felt threatened by them. As a matter of fact, Anita and Jane were said to be close friends. And she once waxed lyrical about Marilyn, saying that she was a very intelligent woman. Originally from the European nation of Sweden, Anita first burst onto the scene by winning the Miss Sweden competition, which gave her access to visit the United States to compete in the Miss Universe competition back in 1951. But while she didn't win the grand event, she did well enough to win a film contract with Universal Studios Hollywood. Was that a successful venture? Not really. Universal Studios dropped Anita Ekberg after just 6 months, as she chose horseback riding over actively seeking major film roles. Plus, she was also faced with harsh and unjust physical critiques, despite her undeniable beauty. You heard right, Ekberg was indeed alluring. She was so beautiful that Federico Fellini once described her as a unique and extraordinary presence, with luminous skin, clear ice blue eyes, golden hair, and an infectious enthusiasm for life, making her both otherworldly and irresistibly captivating. But don't be fooled by her beauty. There was more to Ekberg than a glowing countenance, flicked eyebrows, and an otherworldly figure. She was also incredibly strong-willed and fought hard to overcome wild beauty standards. In a time where the industry forced actresses like Rita Hayworth, Jane Mansfield, and Marilyn Monroe to tweak their natural looks, Anita famously turned down Howard Hughes' suggestion to get plastic surgery, change her nose, and change names to be more like the leading ladies in Hollywood at the time. Anita boldly refused and declared that her fate was either to become successful for being herself and on her terms, or not to be successful at all. She eventually carved the former from basically nothing, but became a household name despite not being as popular or widely loved as Jane Mansfield and Marilyn Monroe. Worse yet, her life didn't age like fine wine. In 2011, while hospitalized for hip surgery, her home in Rome was robbed and severely damaged in a fire. Additionally, financial struggles led her to seek assistance from the Fellini Foundation, which was itself going bankrupt. Anita's health then continued to decline before passing away on January 11, 2015, at the age of 83 due to complications from a prolonged illness. She was laid to rest in Sweden.
Boy, I know it all started out to be a stunt to burn Bobo, but Rocky kissed me and then, oh, something happened.
Number 1. Jane Mansfield. Bust size 40D. Ever wondered what Jane Mansfield and Anita Ekberg had in common? It's simple. They turned heads all over the world with their drop-dead gorgeous beauty. Despite a brief film career, she enjoyed several box office hits and earned both a Theatre World Award and a Golden Globe Award, while earning the nickname of Hollywood's smartest dumb blonde. Additionally, she was also one of the most iconic actresses of the 1950s and early 1960s. Famously known for having countless publicity stunts, sensual shoots, and having an open personal life. In any case, Jane Mansfield's rise to fame began with her amazing portrayal of the fictional actress Rita Marlowe in the Broadway hit Will Success Spoil Rock Hunter?, a role she later reprised in the 1957 film adaptation. A few years later, with a couple hits under her name, she broke the industry once again for her role in Promises, Promises, making history as the first major American actress to appear in an unclad scene in a film since the silent era. So you see, Mansfield was anything but reserved. Out of defiance or just intentional mischief, she was so over the top that in 1967, film critic Whitney Williams commented on Jane Mansfield's life, noting that it often surpassed the drama of her on-screen roles. To be fair, he was absolutely right. Mansfield's personal life was as sensational as her film career, with numerous high-profile relationships and rumored liaisons. Among her alleged partners were influential figures such as Claude Terrell, Robert F. Kennedy, John F. Kennedy, Brazilian billionaire Jorge Guanla, and entertainer Nelson Sardelli. One can only wish she lived as long as Ekberg. Jane Mansfield's life came to a tragic end on June 29, 1967, at the age of 34 from a horrific car accident on a dark Louisiana highway. The actress was traveling with her driver, attorney, and 3 of her children when their car slammed into the back of a tractor trailer that had suddenly stopped due to thick fog from a mosquito-spraying truck. The impact killed Mansfield instantly, along with the driver and attorney, while her 3 children, including future actress Mariska Hargitay, survived with minor injuries. The story gets even darker. The crash, according to rumors, was so severe that Mansfield's head was said to come off her body. This was later proven to be false. In any case, Mansfield's untimely death shocked the world and prompted new safety standards in the automobile industry, such as the implementation of under-ride guards on trucks to prevent similar tragedies. And with that, we wrap up our countdown of the top 10 busts in Old Hollywood, ranked by size. If you found this video as fascinating as we did, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more cinematic history. Done that already? Check out the video currently displaying on your screen for yet another savory walk down memory lane of Old Hollywood.